I can see that you got something out of the reading, and which is the point of of my starting these chapters to you. Yes, go ahead, Perla.
Okay. Oh, okay. I was thinking about his question, how or why we cannot, it's hard to publish research that is
regarded as unimportant.
Yes, but I think adding to this, I would ask why don't, the ones who decide which knowledge counts don't want this kind of research being published.
Okay.
And I think this book does a great job.
Okay.
And
And we're going to talk about it. And please be aware, like I said to you, I've said to you 2 weeks ago, not last week, the week before, you can take whatever stance on any issue. You can agree or disagree, and do not be afraid of expressing your views about anything that you strongly feel about, as long as you do respectfully. Okay, so the whole thing about quality research versus quality research, whose knowledge is important, whose knowledge is valid, it all depends on how you perceive the world. But we need to understand why quality research hasn't been valued as much as quantity research. I mean, who has the monopoly of knowledge, or who claims to have the monopoly of knowledge? That's the question we need to begin by asking, okay? And once you are able to not answer the question, to engage that question, then you will make sense of why it is the way it is. But it doesn't have to be the way it is. If it doesn't have to be the way it is, then we need to make an effort to challenge that paradigm, right? So with that said, I'm gonna walk you through it, but please feel free to add, because you are as knowledgeable as I am about these chapters, okay? I see you as co-learners. I'm not here to pour knowledge into your head. I don't believe in that. I do believe in dialogue. So it's going to be a dialogical relationship. So if you want to add to it as I go through it, by all means, okay? But I would hope that you would, I would not say anything that you haven't read, you haven't, in the book. I may go beyond what is discussed in the book, which is my job to do. But nothing that I'm going to be saying here will be completely alien to you. Shouldn't be. If it is, then perhaps you and I need to meet and I can walk you through some things face to face, because obviously I might not be able to do that for every single one of you, give you the undivided attention during 2 hours. It's not enough time. But if you are struggling with some concept, and I think you need to know what those concepts mean, then I'll be happy to meet with you to help you out. Okay? So with that said, I begin this PowerPoint presentation with this question. What does it entail? When you talk about standpoint theory, what does it entail? I mean, before we even walk through it, engage that question, I would suggest that I think it's important for you to know who are the major figures who have drawn on standpoint theory in their work. Okay, so Dorothy Smith is one of the pioneers, right? In the 70s, she basically wrote quite extensively about standpoint theory. And one of the books that I would highly recommend is this book, The Everyday World is Problematic, The Feminist Sociology. Okay? So if you have money and time, get the book and read it. And then another person, Sandra Harding, I mean, those two you have come across their thinking, their writing through the chapters. In fact, Sandra Harding has one of the chapters in the book, right? And this book is, I would highly recommend it because I read it. It's a very good book. With science, with knowledge, taken from women's life. Okay. Then you have Patricia Hill Collins, who wrote a very, very, very interesting book. Not interesting, very powerful book, Black Feminist Thought. I'm not gonna tell you what those books are about, but please check them out. Okay. And there are many more major figures of standpoint theory. But I think those three, you can start with those three.
What about Donna Haraway?
Yeah, like I said, there are more than three. But I decided to select those three because I'm more familiar with the work than the others. But you are welcome to explore more. Okay.
Are all of these people sociologists and such?
Sociologists, yes. Well, okay. Sandra Harding is a sociologist. Patricia Hill Collins is a sociologist. I'm not so sure about
because I think this all would relate to social type research, because in physical science research, you know, nobody cares which eye was at the telescope.
Right, right, right.
I mean, did the numbers add up? That kind of thing.
Right. So some of the major characteristics of standpoint theory are it's a theory that is grounded in people's daily experiences, right? Mm-hmm. It completely challenges the whole positivist approach. They start from the people, okay? And whatever the people experience in daily life is valid, is important knowledge. And they're not so concerned about the reality that is out there that you can somehow, you know, touch or measure. But they start with people's daily life experiences. And what is more important about this theory is that they bring to the fore the voices of the marginalized people. When I say marginalized, it doesn't have to be women. It's only women who have drawn on standpoint theory. I mean, I have, even though I haven't named it in my work, but I have drawn on standpoint theory because I think it's important to start with people's daily life experiences. And their experiences should be seen as valid as what we call the objective reality. So that's what they do. Instead of pushing to the margins the reality, the experience of marginalized group, they bring those experiences to the fore, to the center. Okay? And when I say marginalized people, I mean I can name many. You have people who have been marginalized because of their race, class, gender, sexuality, language, nationality, I mean, you name it. So the word marginalized encompasses people who have been discriminated against based on their race, gender, class, and language, religion, so on and so forth. And like I said, standpoint theory really challenges inequality that is based, that is gender, race, class, sexual, and language based. In some way, it's a revolutionary type of theory. And remember, historically, the voice of marginalized group were not heard. They were not heard. So there was no space created for that. But with standpoint theory and many others, people's voice have been heard. Okay, thanks to the women's movement, the LGBTQ movement, you know, the civil rights movement, and other movement, the third world movement, we have seen people who were in the shadow coming up. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. So standpoint theory does it come from feminism, or feminism use standpoint theory to do research?
Well, one can claim that it originates from feminist scholarship, feminist scholars. But if you want to go beyond that, this is a theory that hasn't been named. It wasn't named until the 70s. But before that, people have done work drawing on people's life. Paulo Freire, for example, in the 50s, 40s, 50s, he worked with Brazilian farmers, peasants. And he took into account their life experiences, their stories, their narratives. That's standpoint theory. But he did not use that term. Mm-hmm. So, but that term came to the surface, came to be known in the 70s when with Dodie Smith, who actually was one of the first people who actually used that term. Does that make sense?
Okay.
But he has been around for decades.
Because my experience goes, the Marxism uses standpoint theory too.
Absolutely.
Plus the struggle.
Absolutely.
From the polity.
Karl Marx.
Karl Marx.
Engels. From the proletariat. From the proletariat.
Right.
From the workers. So they never use that term. Okay, they never use that term. Because it's all about how you name things. You might be experiencing a form of oppression. You experience it every day. You know how it feels, how it hurts your heart, your soul, but you don't have the language to name it.
But I see in Chinese we have that. We have that term in Chinese from Karl Marx. Mm-hmm. But here, maybe in English, they do not. The term standpoint came from the feminism. That's my answer.
That's how
I know it. Whenever you say the standpoint, I can get my the counterpart words in my Chinese repertoire. So
they actually use the same word in your language. The same exact words, and how long has it been used? Have they been using it? When did they first use it?
I think it's Chairman Mao is about the Communist Party, and they use the Karl Marx theory about their standpoint. If you are working class, you're proletarian, and you are all capitalist, you are belong to the people, the rich people. We are from different standpoint. So that's why they struggle between these two group of people. So
Okay, let me say something about Karl Marx, because I wasn't planning on engagement in any Marxist theory, but I can do that. I'm so familiar with Marxism. I mean, I studied Marxism when I was 18 years old. Well, Karl Marx, again, thank you for the question. But like I said, it's not a theory that's been around, for a long time. But like I said, it's a matter of naming things.
Yeah.
You have to have the language to naming things. I mean, there are many things I couldn't name when I was a child, but I was experiencing it. I knew how it was like to be exploited. I knew how it was like to be poor, but I couldn't. You find a language to name it.
So when does the standpoint, the term came to the English language? That's my curiosity.
That I don't know. I actually don't know. But what I can tell you about Karl Marx was a German. All his writing was in German. Okay. So now just to open a parenthesis briefly. I'm not here to talk to you about Marxism, but Karl Marx's theory basically, since you brought it up, I might as well say a bit about Marx. I don't claim to be a Marxist, but I have appreciation for Marx. I have admiration for Marxism, but I don't claim to be Marxist. I want to make it clear. I'm not apologizing, by the way. I just want to make a statement. Make a statement. Karl Marx basically argues that you have the upper class, although he didn't let me use the upper class, and you have the then you have the proletarian. Okay. That's gonna be on YouTube, so I should be careful. I'm kidding. I honestly don't care. And you have the class, the upper class, who have I'm gonna lift this up so that I can have more space. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back down. I need to shut it off too.
Just close your screen a little bit.
Or close it. Something like that.
Should do that. Should work.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
20 minutes of the doctor's program.
So I'm going to try to create a pyramid, right? So a pyramid. So on the top, you have the upper class, okay? The upper class monopolizes or has access to means of production, okay? Okay? Means of production. Then you have the so-called bourgeois, petit bourgeois, what we call here middle class. The middle class, who may not necessarily have access to means of production, but they use their labor. Through social mobility. They go to school. They have a profession. They become professors and teachers and so on and so forth. So you would be considered middle class, but they don't necessarily have mean access. They don't own the means of production, but they sell their labor. I am in middle class. What do? I sell my labor. I teach. I write. But I'm, supposedly I'm middle class. Although in my mentality, I am working class. I don't act middle class. Then you have the proletarian. Proletarian people work in the factories, right? People work, Walmart. I mean, people who are working under horrible working conditions. They don't have anything when it comes to class privileges. They don't have anything when you think about it. I have class privileges. With a PhD, I can teach anyone in the world, and I speak multiple languages. That's a privilege, which many people who are proletarian don't have. They have to work long hours to make ends meet, right? So these class, according to Marx, have nothing to lose but all to gain. You see? Whereas the upper class who own the means of production, someone like Bill Gates would be considered upper class. Someone like what's his name again? This guy Trump, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Yeah.
I'm just giving you those big names. Those who are upper class, they have the means of production. The Koch brothers. Have you heard anything about the Koch brothers? Boy, well, just Google. Yeah, the Koch brothers. They have the means of production. So these are the folks who own the means of production. They decide how the world works. They influence politics. They decide. They have a major influence on who gets elected, who doesn't get elected, who as president, as senator, and so on and so forth. They have factories everywhere. They have major assembly plants everywhere, here and beyond. Those are the ones who would be considered upper class, and they have the means of production. The CEOs of Walmart certainly belong here. Then you have middle class people like myself, and you also have upper middle class. I mean, I'm not upper middle class. You know? Maybe someday I will, although I'm not aspiring to be upper middle class. I'm good the way I am, although I could use a bit more money since I have a daughter to raise. So you have the upper middle class who may not have means of production, but they have a lot of privileges. Then you go down here, the proletarian class, who have to sell their labor every single day, work 6, 7 days a week, just to make ends meet. So these guys have nothing to lose. Now, if you're going to do a research that is grounded in people's struggle, and that's what power is all about,